Hey everybody, this week on Up Your Alley, we're giving our recap of Deadpool and Wolverine and also all the news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con last week. We're going to talk about Jake's recommendation for me, the 2019 roguelike deck building game Slay the Spire, and my recommendation for Jake, the new special available on YouTube, If This Is It, by comedian Laura Davis. Jake, got anything to add?
There's more than one thing that came out of Comic-Con?
There's plenty of things that came out of Comic-Con.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Hold on, let's play the riff first. So much news. I know. I mean, there's one big thing that came out of Comic-Con that really stole the thunder of everything else. But there's a bunch of good things. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Once again, my name is Taylor Edgar. With me, as always, is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
Hey, buddy.
It's a show where we recommend things to each other. We've been friends for 20 years and recommending things the whole time. But now we have to make the other person watch the thing or listen to the thing or play the thing, in this week's case.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we're going to come back and grade it on a scale of 1 to 3 based on how much it is up our individual alleys. Again, this week, we're talking about a stand-up comedy special, If This Is It, from Australian comedian Laura Davis. And Jake's recommendation for me, the game Slay the Spire, available to play pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
PlayStation, mobile,
Switch,
PC. Anything, Steam. Yeah, it's available everywhere. How you been, bud?
It's been good.
Good.
It's been
another
good.
Late Thursday night.
Yeah, man.
Show comes out tomorrow.
I'm honestly tired.
Yeah, I'm a little tired too. This might go off the rails quickly, but we'll get into it. Let's start with probably the biggest story of the past week. We went and saw separately Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
Biggest movie in the world right now.
Yeah, it's doing well in the box office.
It's
saying.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Well, I think it's the biggest. I know it's the biggest opening for a rated R movie ever. I think it doubled the previous one, which I believe was Deadpool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so
I remember Deadpool being the top-rated R-rated movie.
Deadpool beat out, I think, Passion of the Christ was the biggest one until that. And then
That's
Deadpool,
so funny. That's rated R.
which is funny because a whole plot point of this is Deadpool refers to himself as Marvel Jesus, and he beat the Passion of the Christ.
It's got copious amounts of drug use in that movie, so they had to give it an R rating.
So it's been out for 1 week. Oh, sorry. The earliest release date, Box Office Mojo has this. It came out on July 18th in Slovakia. So the Slovakians got to see it.
Test market.
Early. That's the test market, is Slovakia. Mm-hmm. Worldwide, right now, it's up to $590 million. So it's going to break $1 billion.
Yay.
What'd you think, bud? I mean, when did you see it first?
I saw it Saturday
at
11 o'clock in the morning.
a.m.?
They wanted to go at 9:30 in the morning.
That's a good time to see a movie.
That's way too early.
I saw Inside Out 2 at 9:50 and it ruled.
11 o'clock is good. Okay. That's a good one.
It's a brunch movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's my favorite Deadpool movie.
Really?
I thought they did a great job.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with what I saw.
Yeah. How was the theater for you? Packed?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep. Sold out.
I saw it Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
Went to a 8:50 showing.
Yeah.
Got there 20 minutes late. Trailers were still going on, obviously. Packed, too.
Yeah.
It was fun. I hadn't been to a Thursday night showing of a movie, and God, I can't even remember what the last one I went and saw was. It might have been going back to like Infinity War, that I've been like a Thursday night. Nah, it's got to be something before that. But regardless, yeah, packed theater. Great theater experience. I love a good theater experience. You all right?
Man, I am actually really tired.
Yeah, you're yawning.
It's crazy.
We got to power through this thing. Man.
We got it, baby.
You got your
I'm
liquid
good.
death, green guillotine.
Yeah. I'll be fine.
Iced tea. Yeah, we'll be fine.
We'll get.
Yeah, I loved it. So I do want to talk about it. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's my favorite Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
I think the 3 Deadpool movies are very similar in quality, like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. They're all good. There's not a bad one in the bunch.
I would agree, but I would say 3, 2, 1 is my order of appreciation.
Reverse. So you're reversing the Deadpools. I would say probably. I think the first Deadpool is still my favorite.
Yeah,
and I mean,
all of them take too long to get started.
Yeah.
But Deadpool 1 takes the longest to get started.
It does. It has the most setup to anything. I think Josh Brolin in 2 is really good. I like the kid. I forget his name, the actor that plays the kid in Deadpool 2, but he was in
Deadpool and Cable.
Hunt for the Wilder People too. He's a great actor. and Ryan Reynolds as Juggernaut in that one was 2. This one, I think it had, well, obviously it had the most hype going into it. There are certain things in this which it's been out for a month or not a week, so like, and spoilers are all over the internet. You can't scroll through Facebook or anything else without people that have clipped.
I'm happy
all the cameos and stuff. I can't believe some of these they kept under wraps.
I'm so happy with the cameos.
Yeah,
it works so well. Yeah, and I loved it.
So we're gonna talk spoilers. So skip ahead like 5 minutes if you don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah, you want to do spoilers?
Yeah, because it's the biggest movie in the world, and it's already been spoiled all over the internet.
All right.
And everyone's talking in interviews about, I can't believe you got this person here. So if you don't want to be spoiled, skip ahead like 5 minutes. I think the cameos in this were great. I think the humor was good. Hugh Jackman knocked it out of the park.
Yep.
I'm
happy that it starts with the desecration of the corpse of Logan.
Great opening
just
scene.
Letting them know, he's dead. Your Logan movie's fine. That story's done, and it's still beautiful. And we're just going to dance all over the memory of what was created.
Literally dancing on his grave.
And it took me a while to be like, okay. Like at first I was just like, this is stupid. I don't like this. It wasn't until he was using the spine with the skull at the end as a mace to knock people. I was like, I'm having fun.
Yes.
This is a little fun.
Gets you right into it. I think, did you ever see Free Guy?
No.
So Free Guy was Ryan Reynolds trying to do the meta thing as well. Not as fourth wall breaking in this, obviously, but the whole premise of Free Guy is he's an NPC in a video game that becomes self-aware.
Yeah, he gets the glasses and now he can see what the players see.
And he's in like a basic Grand Theft Auto 5
I'm not going to watch a video game movie because it'll make my brain explode.
It's fine, but it's got a lot of references to things, Chris Evans shows up in that movie.
What is this, Grand Theft Auto?
So, yeah, basically a little bit like that.
What is this, Uncharted?
Sort of.
Yeah. They do this all the time. I bet you do it all that. What is this, Tetris? A whole time.
It's not as bad as Pixels, but it's close. But regardless, Ryan Reynolds, I think this is his best. He's a very self-aware person. He makes jokes at his own expense, obviously, and that's what these movies are. This is the best. He threads the needle really well.
So I had no high expectations for this movie going in.
Really?
Yeah, I did not think it was going to be good. I thought it was going to be very annoying. It wasn't until like just before I went into the theater and I was looking at Twitter and I saw Hideo Kojima tweet that he's like, I saw the movie, and he was like, it's incredible. It breaks the fourth wall, but it also breaks the fifth wall.
I saw that. I wanted to bring that up with you.
After I watched the movie, I was like, you know what? I don't understand what Hideo Kojima was talking about, but he is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
This movie does a great job with its fourth wall breaking, but also delivering a meta-narrative about the death of Fox Media with this Marvel IP, giving it a proper send-off, a fun send-off, and melding into the Marvel universe this Deadpool character.
Yeah, so the whole plot of the movie with Paradox and the Time Variance Authority shutting down Deadpool's timeline, that's a very meta-narrative. There was someone that found this on Reddit.
Yeah, saying we're closing down the Fox.
Right.
The universe, and we're bringing you into the Marvel universe.
Right.
And he's like, that's not going to happen.
There was a layer of the meta commentary that I didn't pick up on, but this Redditor came up with Reddit username is Gay for Gary Oldman. So,
okay.
I mean, he's putting it all on Front Street for everybody. But he said that the extra meta commentary that I didn't really pick up is that the Fox universe died and Hugh Jackman killed it because he said he's not doing Logan anymore. So that's why Deadpool's timeline was being killed, is because their Logan died, and that's the meta commentary. I'm like, that's fucking just spot on.
Yeah.
And the
I
story wasn't great.
No, it was the meta narrative the whole time that I really enjoyed. It was so my hot take that not even my friends agree with was there's just a line where Deadpool's talking to Wolverine and he says, a lot of people grew up because of you.
Yeah.
And he said, a lot of people didn't grow up because of me either. And I took it to the meta-narrative saying that there are people that hang on to this character too long and too hard, and they don't grow up. But there are people that find inspiration in Wolverine, and they grow up.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really cool. That's a really cool line to give, and it makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
That I like Wolverine, but they're also saying, like, don't like these things so much that it affects you in the wrong way.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's Ryan Reynolds in the, because this is his baby, and Hugh Jackman, Wolverine was his thing. I think it's a great, I think we're going to see Hugh Jackman again probably in Secret Wars.
That was my favorite thing too, was at the end where Deadpool's talking to Wolverine. He says, so we're going to see you around? And he goes, I don't think so. Like, that's his answer. He's like, maybe. He's like, I'll do it, maybe.
There was a couple great lines where Deadpool tells him, he's like, we're going to make you do this till you're 90.
Yeah. But I feel like what he's saying is, with this movie, is I will come back if it's a strong enough story. Right.
I mean, and that's kind of the vibe I think, did you watch, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds were on Hot Ones. Did you watch that?
No.
They've been doing the press tours together. They were great on Hot Ones. Hugh Jackman is not great with spicy foods, which was incredible to see him just broken down immediately by wings. That show's amazing. And in one of the interviews, he was talking that he announced his retirement as Wolverine 2 days before he saw Deadpool. And then he saw Deadpool and he was like, shit. Like, I really wish I didn't announce my retirement as Wolverine. So they had been talking about it back and forth. But going to some of the surprises in this.
Yes.
There were a lot of leaks, and I knew a lot of the Fox X-Men characters were going to be in it, like the guy whose name escapes me, the guys that played Pyro and Sabretooth. They had been leaked.
That was
and
wonderful.
I was just like, oh, great. You had the OG Sabretooth.
I didn't have anything leaked for me. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah. You're not on Reddit as much as I am.
Yeah.
And also, I subscribe to the subreddit Marvel Studios Leaks, so that pops up.
You started this whole conversation that we could do spoilers by saying it's all over the internet. By the by, the only thing that I look at is leaks online.
No. It's out in public now. You don't have to be subscribed to this subreddit to know it. But even that subreddit didn't get a lot of these things.
What was your favorite cameo?
So I have a soft spot for Ray Park as Toad. Just because I look at him and I'm like,
that was wild to see Ray Park back, dude.
That's Darth Maul.
Yeah,
look at
that's really cool.
So the three big cameos.
Well, my favorite one.
There are four big cameos, I think.
My favorite one, and thank you for asking, is Wesley.
I was going to get that.
I know. I wanted to interrupt and make that great joke. Was Blade.
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes being back as Blade is
Did
so
not
good.
see that coming.
Not at all. As soon as he walked in, I was hitting my friend.
Yeah.
I was like, this is incredible. This cannot be happening.
Because famously, when Deadpool says in the movie, he's like, I didn't think you liked me. Something to that effect. And it's because Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds had a pretty public feud
really?
About Blade Trinity.
Because
Ryan Reynolds kind of
they were in there together, weren't they?
But no, that's the thing. Is apparently Wesley Snipes wasn't in Blade Trinity a lot.
Yeah.
He gave his lines, but all the action was a body double. Like, he had kind of checked out by that point. And Ryan Reynolds was younger, up-and-coming movie star then. Yeah. So he was full on, worked out, learned all the choreography and stuff. And it's kind of a letdown to see, who someone you thought was your action hero just kind of phone it in and not really do anything. Wesley Snipes, they were talking shit about each other for a while.
I had no clue that they had a beef going.
Good to see that they buried the hatchet or whatever, buried the katana, if it's a Blade reference.
It was so good to see him back in action. All the other cameos were fantastic as well, though.
Chris Evans showing back up as Johnny Storm. I think we talked about this briefly last time. I think we called that Taylor Swift did not show up.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
It wasn't Ryan Reynolds' head on Lady Deadpool's body.
So Blake Lively did the voice.
It was the Blake Lively. Yeah.
And apparently two of his kids did the voice of Baby Pool and Kid
Pool. Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey did the voice of Cowboy Deadpool.
Oh, that's great.
There's a Welsh Deadpool, which is apparently one of the soccer players from the soccer team that he
from
owns.
Wrexham, whatever.
Nathan Fillion was the voice of Headpool.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they put this on Twitter when the TVA was fighting. One of those agents was Rob McElhenney, and his cameo just got cut out completely.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Chris Evans being back as the Human Torch, we called that.
Yeah.
He was great.
His
accent
was wonderful.
He wasn't even trying to do the Johnny Storm voice. He just had his own Boston accent the entire time.
It was fun to see him acting like that, like a cocky weirdo.
Not a cameo, but the girl that played Cassandra Nova, great character, bringing that in.
Yes.
That's a perfect...
Cassandra Nova was a fantastic
good time to use that character just for this. We need someone that's super powerful, super evil. I love... did you ever read... I think it was Grant Morrison's New X-Men.
No.
That had Cassandra Nova in it. But the thing she did when she was reading people's minds, like putting her hand inside their faces, that's in the comics. It's really disturbing artwork.
It's really cool looking.
It's gross. Yeah. It's real... Things under skin has always been like the creepiest thing.
Really cool looking. Yeah.
My favorite cameo was probably Jennifer Gardner.
Yeah,
showing up as
I knew
Electro.
you would like that just because it's Ben Affleck adjacent.
So there's one great. First of all, you like Daredevil.
I'm not going to say I didn't like Daredevil.
I'm not going to make you watch Electra because Electra is not a great movie.
I was so on board that Ben Affleck could show up.
Yes.
I was
when
on
she
there.
showed up, I was like, is Ben here?
Yes,
is Ben
I
gonna
was
be
doing
here?
that, and then they were like, Daredevil? He's like, no, he's dead. And they were like,
That was my favorite joke in the movie. Is
Yes.
Deadpool says to Jennifer Garner, he's like, Deadpool's dead. He's like, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. And she just goes, it's okay.
Yeah, it's
And
okay.
I was just like, oh, that's a great meta joke.
That was
and
good.
then Channing Tatum showed up as Gambit.
That was my second favorite.
Finally.
And that was my favorite joke of the thing where he was like, I came out of my dad's dick ready. And he was like, I slipped out of those battery nuts. And I said, what's up, doc? And watching that, it was like, it's so great that they gave him the opportunity to be Gambit that he wanted for so long.
I think the levels of cameos were great. Like Chris Evans as the Human Torch, that was probably the most well-known cameo.
Yeah.
And then when you go, they didn't have...
That's probably the biggest face that they stole.
All of the X-Men cameos that they pulled, like none of the Famke Janssen wasn't there.
Yeah.
James Marsden wasn't there.
Right.
None of the Professor X's, none of those guys were there.
Yep.
They didn't even bring back, I thought they were going to bring back at least Kelsey Grammer as Beast because he was at the end of he was in the post-credits of the Marvels. But he wasn't in that as well. But leaving those guys out, I thought that was great because the whole premise of the story is that universe was, the linchpin was Wolverine.
This thing really reminded me of was, did you ever read Earth X?
I don't think so.
So Earth X was a project of Alex Ross.
I love Alex Ross.
Yes. He wanted to draw the lesser known DC characters really badly, that they kind of wrote a story just so that these people could get the limelight better. And it's awesome. I felt like Ryan Reynolds was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
With this, where he was like, let's give these people that didn't have their time to shine a great time to shine.
Yeah.
And it was awesome, you know?
Oh, these covers are familiar to me. I'm looking at it right now.
Earth X is incredible.
Yeah, it was 99 to 2000. Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
I saw this in comic book stores, but I never picked it up. But I had two people ask me, they said, why was Channing Tatum Gambit? And that was probably the most
long ass time ago.
That was the most obscure out of the cameos.
I remember being like, I do not want Channing Tatum to be Gambit.
And that was part of so Channing Tatum, if people don't know, he had a Gambit movie booked.
Yes.
Like it was written, it kept getting delayed, the filming, and there's this picture of, I think it's like when Vanity Fair does like a big like cover shoot of like a whole bunch of actors from a movie or whatever. Yeah. They did one around the time of X-Men First Class and shit like that, and the Fantastic Four, Miles Teller Fantastic Four with Michael B. Jordan, where they had the big shot of all their stars. And it was like Hugh Jackman, it was Michael Fassbender, it was James McAvoy, and they had Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller and all those people. And they're like, these are our fucking superheroes. Yeah. And Channing Tatum's sitting right there.
That's true.
Because they're like, he's going to be Gambit. Channing Tatum wants to make a Gambit movie. And I remember one of the biggest criticisms of that was and I think Channing Tatum's a great actor. Like he's hysterical.
This was
when he was just Magic Mike.
Yes.
Like essentially that's all he was.
And I was like, I don't want a meathead being one of my favorite X-Men.
Because Gambit he's a spry, he's a lithe man.
Yes.
Like he's a
smooth talker.
Cajun.
Yeah. And he's just, interesting to see. He's not built like a football player type of thing. Even though he is. So.
And I remember one of the big criticisms was there's no way Channing Tatum can pull off this voice. Because Gambit has you can't change that part of the character.
Yeah.
Like that's so intrinsic to
very important.
It's one of those things where it's written that way.
Yes.
Like Gambit in comic dialogue is written phonetically to sound Cajun.
He's the raging Cajun.
Right. And that the fact that they made this a joke, that his voice was so... Deadpool says something like, who's your dialogue coach? The Minions? Something like that. And it's just funny. And Channing Tatum, being a self-aware person, leaning into it, was outstanding. Oh, and also X-23 comes back. Her name escapes me as well. Daphne Keane, I want to say is her name.
I believe so, yeah.
Or that might be Daphne's name from Scooby-Doo. Yeah. But I think her name's Daphne. But she was great, too. She's grown up since Logan, but she was great in Logan.
They had great shots.
She didn't do much in Logan. Like, I mean, she was like very good in that movie, but it wasn't that much. It wasn't that character's movie. But she's fantastic.
Great
scenes with Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman,
Huge chemistry between the two of them.
Yes,
I love it when she puts on the sunglasses again, just like she did in Logan.
It was a lot of nostalgia bait, but it felt right. It felt like it was doing it
was
because
justified.
It was having a good time. It was a swan song. You know?
It was great, yeah.
So it was like, you remember these things, and just remember these things that even though Fox didn't do great with this Marvel IP that they had, they still tried some wild shit. And some of it was kind of fun.
Did you watch the thing at the end credits?
I watched the mid-credit roll where it was just
montage.
It was a wonderful little montage with a very funny song choice.
Yeah.
But it was like, like these people really worked hard to make these not great movies.
Like people's shits. I think that was my biggest thing when I was sitting there watching the mid-credit roll with all these people, and you do kind of get. It's easy to sit in the audience and be like, "This movie fucking sucks."
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what? There are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that spent decades, and no one's trying to do a shitty job.
Yes, no one's trying to do a shitty job. They're trying to. I get that they're trying to make money. They're trying to do what's best for them, but there's still wild ideas that they're trying out, and we do get like I don't like the Fantastic Four movies, right? But Ben Grimm, the Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, I do believe that it is a good movie. I did really enjoy it. But that Ben Grimm, Michael Chiklis, right? That's spot on casting.
Yeah. Although Eben Moss Bacharach's going to be pretty great.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I don't really have strong feelings about Fantastic Four either way, honestly.
Yeah.
But
just read that Jonathan Hickman I have right there. It's good.
It's no, I have it.
You have it?
Yeah. No, I have Bendis. I have Brian Michael Bendis.
Yeah, this is Jonathan Hickman.
Oh, okay.
It's great.
Yeah. It's great things came out of it, you know, and like that's good enough for me,
right?
You know, and so having this movie just be like a nice little wrap up, being like, thanks Fox for
everything you did
doing this stuff.
Yeah,
they gave Ryan Reynolds the fucking reins to Deadpool and be like, sure, do your thing,
I think, Ryan Reynolds in some of his interviews had brought up that this wasn't the first idea for Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
He had several other ideas. Like at one point it was going to be like a road trip movie, like a buddy cop type thing, which there are elements of that in this. The Wolverine incantation was late in the game. It was at one point it was just going to be like a 2-man road trip movie like Dopinder that he compared to Little Miss Sunshine, and it was just going to be Deadpool and Dopinder the whole time. I love what's his name coming back as Peter.
Yes.
That was
Rob Delaney.
Rob Delaney as Peter. Great character.
I like does a great job. I like that he's like, I know a guy who has his nipples pierced in a chain that connects us to his Johnson. And then
it's him.
Later in the movie, it's him being like, go ahead, touch it. And he's like, oh.
But one of the interesting things that I think he said this on Hot Ones was Ryan Reynolds had this grand idea that he was going to make a fake movie. He was going to call it Alpha Cop. And it's about 2 cops, which each have 2 halves of a brain. And then they have to work together to make one super cop called Alpha Cop. And that movie was going to run and be marketed as that, starring Ryan Reynolds, and it would go for 10 minutes, and then in theaters the Marvel logo would show up, and then Deadpool 3 would just start.
That's a funny idea.
It's a great idea, but and he brought up, he's like, if that gets spoiled, it's completely ruined.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way you can do that. But he kind of did that. Like when I hadn't heard a peep about Wesley Snipes showing up.
Yeah. I'm happy that I just was like, I'm going to watch it just on the merit that first Deadpool, I wasn't thinking anything about it.
Nope.
And then it was great. The second Deadpool, I was like, I don't know how they're going to do another one. And it was really good. Yep. And then that's where I was like, I don't know how they're going to do a third one. But like based on the merit of the first 2, it's worth a shot at the very least. And I was very pleasantly surprised.
There were a lot of complaints on Twitter and stuff where parents being like, this is inappropriate I took my kids. And I was like, you're a fucking idiot.
It says
if
right
you
here.
did
that.
Yeah. I had... when I went and saw... Did we see Deadpool 2 together? I don't know. But when I saw Deadpool 2, I remember there was a dad and a kid sitting there, and the kid was probably like 8, and I was just like, oh, I don't think he knows. I think he just thought this was a superhero thing. And then the mom came and sat down on one side, like on the other side of the kid. So like I was like, oh, she came in a little bit late. And I was like, she definitely doesn't know. And so I was watching the movie, but then just out of the side, I saw this whole little soap opera of the mom just like looking at the dad like, what? And they got up and left like 20 minutes into it. I was just like, how do you? I guess. I mean, we're too in the algorithm but I
guess
get it.
So yeah, but
as a parent, I'm not going to take my kid to a movie that I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want to see?
Yeah.
And then you vet it a little bit. If it says Disney Pixar on it, then you're pretty good.
It's lazy parenting, but I get that. Yeah. Maybe you're thinking, oh, it's a superhero movie. It must be fine. But, I mean...
Did I tell you when I went and saw Rambo Last Blood in theater?
Which Rambo was that?
That's the last one.
That's the one where he's in, like, Arizona or some shit? And, like, the cartel's coming?
And, like, his daughter is kidnapped.
Yeah, I never saw that one.
It's not good. But I went...
Most of them aren't.
This was when I had Movie Pass, right? And I was like, I got to see a movie to justify the price.
Shout out Movie Pass.
It was the Regal Movie Pass thing.
Yeah.
And so I went and saw it one morning, and there's a part where it was just me and a father and son in the theater. And at the end, when everybody's come to his compound and they're coming in, Rambo says, "Yeah, I'm gonna rip your heart out. I'm gonna shove a knife in right in front of your face."
You got a good Sly Stallone impression too.
Thank you.
I'm surprised by that.
And he meticulously murders all these people that are going onto his compound, and then the very final bad guy, he rips his heart out and he stabs the knife, and I am laughing like hysterically, like this is the funniest thing. And the father and son are just staring at me, shocked.
Yeah.
Because they're like, this is
how old's this kid?
That kid had to have been 12.
Jesus Christ.
And they were like, this is a wild scene. Like, this is, his daughter died. This is sad. I was
Excuse me, sir.
This is a crazy scene. This is a crazy thing to do. You didn't have to take it literal. He's like, no, I made a promise to this man. I'm going to rip his heart out.
He's going to be upset if I don't.
Yeah. I was like, you could just use it as a threat. It's okay. Yeah. But he made good on his promise. And I was like, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the bit on South Park when Mr. Garrison becomes president. He's like, no, I told this guy I'm going to fuck him to death. He ends up doing it.
My favorite running joke in
Deadpool
Wolverine
was ignoring that T.J. Miller was ever involved.
That's fun, but it was this few seconds. Thor and Deadpool are having a moment, and he's just like, "I need to know what that moment is." Yeah. And I just like that. There's one time when he's knocked out, dragged to a place, and he wakes up going, "Thor!" Yeah. And it's like, that's so fun that it's consuming his mind like that.
I like the running bits of making fun of the Honda Odyssey. As a proud Toyota driver myself, I was like, fuck the Honda Odyssey. And also the dog. The running bit, there's one scene where Deadpool's holding that dog and he's carrying on a conversation while that dog's just licking the hell out of his face. Yeah. And that was very funny to me. It was a great movie. Like, I can't wait for it to
I was very happy with that movie.
My brother's seen it twice in theaters. Yeah. He loved it.
I was very shocked that I enjoyed it that much. It was, for a movie that breaks the fourth wall, but it's also so irreverent, I just expected a monkey cheese random movie.
It's great.
But it understands itself as a meta-narrative better than people give it credit for, I would say. People that are detractors of this type of movie. It is annoying, and he is an annoying character.
Yeah,
but he grows on you.
He's supposed to be, though.
And I like that there's this meta-narrative towards himself where he explains his own feelings. When he's like going to do the sacrifice thing, he's doing jokes, and he's like, I think it's because I'm scared to die. And it's like, yes, that's why. And it's like, he does that type of breaking of character, so to speak, to reconcile with himself what he's feeling.
Right.
So he has to do it through the fourth wall sometimes to us to understand. That's just really clever writing, man. That's just really thoughtful. And it's just more thoughtful than I thought that this movie was going to have. So I backed away going, this is great. And a Patch cameo is wonderful.
Henry Cavill, too.
Yeah, Henry Cavill being...
The Cavalry.
He looked great.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He's too big. I like
I understand that
comic accurate short King Wolverine. Yes, that's like 5'2".
That was funny.
The big hair 80s Wolverine, and they had the Uncanny X-Men 251 where he's crucified.
Yeah.
I went to my comic book store on Monday, and I asked the guy if they had that, and he's like, "No, but everyone's asking." And I was like, "Yeah, I figured," but yeah, can't hurt for asking. All right, so that movie's great. I'm glad it was
a really good movie.
Speaking of,
if you like the other Deadpools, you're gonna like this one. If you haven't seen it yet, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think it's improved. If you don't need to have seen all the Fox stuff.
Yes,
like I would be curious if someone hadn't seen all of that stuff, what they would think.
Yes, that's
but
true.
I don't know who would have any interest in the movie whatsoever if they hadn't seen that stuff.
It's because I've been thinking about Metal Gear Solid 4 way too much for some reason.
That's what we were talking about earlier.
That's another game it's another thing that was like a swan song for what it was.
Should have been.
Yeah, exactly. It was supposed to be the last one, even though the third one was supposed to be the last one. Even then, Peace Walker was supposed to be the last one. And it was a bunch of fan service. Yeah. So I understood what it was doing. It was like saying, like, hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? We remember it too. Thank you guys for enjoying these things.
Remember Shadow Moses? Do you want to drive the Metal Gear? I bet you want to drive the Metal Gear.
Such a good part because
it's great.
Otacon comes out and he's like, you have to switch your discs. And he's like, oh, wait. No, you don't.
Okay,
it's the PlayStation 3.
We don't need to get into Metal Gear 4.
Blu-ray discs. Yeah, I'm sorry. But
Save it for the YouTube.
Yeah, it's just enjoying itself. Yeah. It's just having a great final last hurrah. And it's like, good. Yeah. I enjoy stuff like that,
Well, speaking of comics, we'll kind of breeze through this because we've talked about Deadpool for 30 minutes now.
Hell yeah.
But, it's worth it. So, Comic-Con was last week. A couple great trailers. The trailer for Transformers 1 came out.
I'm not going to watch it.
It looks fun.
Yeah,
it looks
I'm not
good.
a Transformers.
I mean, it looks like something if my kid had any interest in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
You're going to try and interest your kid in this thing.
No, she would have zero interest in a Transformer.
It's a car that turns into a robot.
Yeah.
But it's big.
No.
But it's not for me. Yeah. I don't have any...
Some stuff from Captain America Brave New World. More stuff for that. New trailer for the new Kevin Smith movie that looks really good. It's called The 4:30 Movie. It looks really good.
Really?
Yeah. He shot it and it's...
I saw stills of Kilroy was here, and that movie does not look good.
It's not great. But there's the 4:30 Movie. It's set in the 80s. It's a little autobiographical, but he shot it at his movie theater that he owns in New Jersey.
Okay.
And it's about kids that are, trying to get a girl to come see a movie with you, and they go see the 4:30 Movie after school. It's like a high school comedy. It looks fun. A lot of cameos and stuff like that. Justin Long's back in it. Rosario Dawson, all of Kevin Smith's friends. Logic, the rapper's in it.
Okay.
It looks good. The big news is friggin' Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing Dr. Doom.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I heard coming about. And
what was your initial reaction?
You didn't have to do that. I understand why you did it. You're scrambling.
I went through like this however many phases of grief that there are where you end with acceptance. Like, because I literally think I went through like denial and then anger and then bargaining because I was just, I love Dr. Doom, and there were so many good rumors floating around on that subreddit on who they were going to pick because they announced the rest of the Fantastic Four months ago with Pedro Pascal and Evan Moss-Bachrach and Stranger Things Metalhead kid. And so everyone was talking about who's going to play Dr. Doom, and there was Cillian Murphy's name was being batted around. One of the Mickelson's names was being batted around. I'm like, oh, this is, if you got Cillian Murphy who doesn't need to do these. Yeah. It would have to be like a really good script. And that's one of the things where I'm like, if you got an actor of that caliber, if you got fucking Daniel Day-Lewis to be like, I'm unretiring to play Dr. Doom, I'd be like, this script must be the best script.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Same thing with if you got Cillian Murphy to do it. Yeah. It's like this script's got a fucking
it would give it a type of credence to it. Right. If you pulled that.
And so that's why I was a little, when they're like Robert Downey Jr., I was like, oh, this movie might suck.
Yeah. They don't know what they have no plan. And their whole thing is like, you liked RDJ, remember?
They got the Russos back, too. Yeah. There was rumors that it wasn't going to be them.
Yeah. They got the Russos back. And they're like, you like them, don't you?
They're scrambling because
it's so different from the Deadpool thing where I'm like, you like this, didn't you? And I'm like, yay, I love that. And now they're like, you liked RDJ. I was like, yeah, but it was like important.
I liked when he died, and that was important because he's dead. But so... couple things are interesting. One, they're obviously scrambling because of the Jonathan Majors Kang stuff.
Yes.
They're building for that. And I think I'm not 100%.
He's disappointed.
I'm not 100% convinced that they wouldn't have done that even if Jonathan Majors didn't do all those terrible things. Yeah. Just because no one gave a shit about Kang in general.
Nobody watched Quantumania.
Okay, another funny joke from... I think one of the best self-referential jokes from Deadpool 3 is when the big dragon comes into the void. He's like, from Loki season 1, episode 5. And I'm
that's funny.
Yeah, because a lot of people didn't watch that are seeing this movie, and they're probably like, who the fuck is that? And they're like, it's Eliath from Loki season 1, episode 5.
That is funny.
Great joke. Yeah. But because of that, and Kang was in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. No one fucking cared.
Yeah.
Kang was in Loki season 2. Not a lot of people watched that.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, he was in it the whole time. That was like one of the major plot points in Loki season 2 is he was his Victor Timely persona.
Oh, right. And
no one cared. So I'm not 100% sure that if Kang was still around, that they wouldn't have Doctor Doom just immediately kill him in the first like act to be like, no, I'm here, because I mean you got to swing for the fences. But so it's called Avengers Doomsday now. Fantastic Four got a subtitle. It's Fantastic Four First Steps. And Thunderbolts has a subtitle too. That's just an asterisk, which I think is hilarious.
Oh my god.
Yeah, David Harbour was dressed up as a Red Guardian.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, and there was a new trailer for a new Hellboy movie. Did you see that? Did I send that to you? Hellboy Crooked
You sent
Man?
it to me, and I sent you back. This is the third time that they're doing this.
Yes. It looks like a fan film, but it looks real interesting, and it's like super skinny Hellboy. Like, looks more like the Mike Mignola, where he's not gigantic Hellboy.
He's like, this one, when I read the script, it's like a horror movie. And he's like, I find that interesting, so let's see what happens. And
I think Hellboy's a good character like that, where you're like, hey, we can... slip them in anywhere. It doesn't all have to be,
it's nothing.
Elder gods and Nazis.
It feels like they're like, okay, I know that you didn't like it this second time.
The David Harbour Hellboy was good. Did you watch it?
No.
Well, maybe I'll make you watch that before this one comes out.
Well, I'm interested, and it's just because of Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
Because she was like, they asked her about the reception of the movie, and she's like, I'm in all these movies that people say are bad, and then years later, a big cult fan base comes around it. She's like, it's going to happen again.
Fifth Element rules.
Fifth Element, of course, rules.
Yeah.
Yes. But she's talking like Resident Evil. Is like, people were not on board with Resident Evil. And now she's like, I have people coming up telling me, like, I love Resident Evil.
Yeah.
And they're right.
So going back to Robert Downey Jr. So I think...
what bothers me about this is he's going to take off the mask.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like maybe a couple scars. And he's like... I wear a mask because my face is scarred. Because he's got a valuable face.
So
you have to put his face out.
What I'm thinking...
But Doomsday don't got no face, none. It gone. Doomsday don't got no face, none. It gone. But now...
Well, it depends on your version of Doom.
So there, for that surgery.
There are versions of Doom that there's... I forget who was writing this part.
The Fantastic Four?
No, not the...
In the movie
Julie
where he got laser beams?
Julie McMahon one where he's Dr. Nip Tuck. His dad used to be like the Prime Minister of Australia.
Who? Dr. Doom?
No, Julie McMahon, the actor.
I don't know anything about who that is.
He was in Nip Tuck. He was Dr. Christian Troy in Nip Tuck.
I remember you tried to get me to watch one episode of that.
Of Nip Tuck?
Yes.
Nip Tuck was great.
Way back when, and I was like, dude, what is this?
Nip Tuck was great for the first 3 seasons, and then it got weird.
Within 3 minutes, they were having sex with women, and I was like, is there a story?
No.
It's like, you get on me for watching weird stuff, bro.
Yeah. But there is a version of Doctor Doom where he does just have like a little scar, and it's like a self-inflicted thing that he thinks he's hideous just because of that, because it plays into his vanity.
Yeah, and that's what they're going to go
I like...
don't want that.
Julie McMahon's dad is Sir Billy McMahon, a former Prime Minister of Australia. Neat.
Nepo baby.
They also lost a Prime Minister at one point.
Yes, I remember hearing about that.
That's great. We're going to talk about Australia in a little bit. So, moving on, I think if he's just the character, if he's just doing the voice, I think it could be great. Because Robert Downey Jr.
He's a good actor.
You saw Oppenheimer. He's a good actor.
I haven't seen Oppenheimer.
I thought whatever. He's a great actor.
He's a great actor.
You know this.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to get a performance out of him.
Right.
I'm saying we already got a performance out of him.
My favorite Robert Downey Jr. is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is very...
Absolutely.
It's very Tony
That was
Stark.
him coming back into acting.
And it's a very Tony Stark role in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
It was a wonderful, wonderful performance.
It's an amazing movie. Probably
and Val Kilmer.
One of the best Val Kilmer performances.
Gosh,
too.
Val Kilmer's
that movie's fucking great.
Batman.
So yeah, I think we'll have to see how it plays out. But I think you're right. It is a lot of swinging for the fences. Like, hey, it's member berries. It's like, hey, remember?
It's just it feels like they don't know what they need to do to make a good movie.
And
when the answer is right in front of your face, it's just go back to making movies. Don't worry about an extended universe. That thing happened.
Yeah.
These things are just going to go further and further down and further convoluted. People don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And they're just not going to want to watch it because it's like, I don't know what I need to know to watch this movie, when you could just be like, I want to watch a guy named Blade kill a vampire.
Right.
And they're like having such a hard time making that movie. And it's, we could do this. I want to watch Daredevil be like, I can stop this guy in the streets and in the courthouse.
I thought you were going to say in the sheets.
And in the sheets.
But yeah, I don't know. It'll be fine. I know Marvel, they didn't have anything for their upcoming TV series at Comic-Con, which means they're probably scaling back, which is good.
It's what comics do.
Yeah.
All the time is
blow up.
Exactly. Yeah. You go cosmic.
It expands and contracts.
Yes. When you go cosmic, that's your crescendo. Yeah. That's your big moment. And then you go right back down to the smaller stories again.
I was kind of upset there was no updates on the Daredevil Born Again series, because I'll say that's probably one of the projects I'm most excited about.
Of course. Yeah. That's the most interesting thing.
Yeah.
That guy is such a good choice.
Charlie Cox?
Yes, Charlie Cox is great.
Fucking great.
Have you seen Stardust?
No.
Charlie Cox movie is really good.
Is that like a space thing?
It's a fantasy thing.
Yeah, I remember that coming out. I haven't seen it there. All right, but yeah, we'll figure that out. So it's been 40 minutes. Let's get into our Rex. That's the longest intro we've ever done. Luckily, we have two things that are kind of straightforward. Let's talk about your rec first. No, let's talk about my rec first. So Laura Davis, she is an Australian comic. She is at Laura Davis Comic on Instagram. The YouTube channel is Laura Davis Comedy. The special is If This Is It. It's all on YouTube. Go watch it. Subscribe to her. Yep. She's great. I picked this out for Jake. This is another recommendation that comes from the guys on The Weekly Planet. They talked about this. This was filmed at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Both of the hosts said that they saw it, and this is now available on YouTube. I've never even heard of her.
Yeah.
So... and then a lot of other Australian people that I follow were just like, oh, this is on YouTube now. I saw it at Melbourne. It's great. And then what piqued my interest about it said that this is the funniest anti-capitalist lecture that I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, interesting. Because I know it's unlike most American comics, not all, but most Australians and at the Melbourne Comedy Festival and the British Isle people at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, they have shows that are hour-long, like one-person shows that play every night for like a month. And they all have a theme. It's where we got Hannah Gadsby's Nanette.
Yes. Which I love.
Yeah.
But that's just like a straight-up performance.
Yeah, as a piece of art, it's great. But it's a lot of the stuff isn't as much set-up, punchline.
Yeah. Not
to take away from this, because I think there are parts of this that are hilariously funny. I was laughing out loud. But... she's got a great point of view. She's a very fresh voice. You wouldn't be able to say anyone else sounds like her.
Yeah.
Her cadence, her delivery, her point of view is just, it's not only well performed, it's very well thought out, because I think a lot of people that try to do this type of performance, like there are people that like, it's a fine line between if you're doing comedy or if you're trying to do a TED Talk, because sometimes you'll see comedians that try to make a point, and then you'll see like people doing a TED Talk that try to tell jokes.
You can tell that there's people that are trying to make a point, and it's because they were really passionate about that point.
Right.
And then there's people that are trying to make a point just because they know that that's what brings out an audience.
Perfect.
You know. And Laura Davis is definitely in the former camp.
And what I really liked about her that I knew you'd relate to, because as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, Jake's going to fucking love this. Not so much the message, which was very anti-capitalist, anti a lot of things that are going on in the world, a lot of anti-authority stuff that I knew you would like.
Yeah.
She comes from it from... I don't know what the word for it is, but it's the opposite of a preachy thing. Like, it's not like a Greta Thunberg lecture where she's like, you should be ashamed of what you're doing. She comes from it from a very real sense of, these are things that I'm worried about. And I don't know because she says at one point, she's like, this is what I do. Like, I'm a comedian. This is what I do. These are things that I'm worried about. I don't have any other way to talk to people about this except for this. So here's this, and it seems very earnest, very honest.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit, Jake's going to love this.
Yeah.
So what'd you think?
Yeah, it's a 3.
100% 3?
It's truly a masterpiece. It's wonderful.
The fact that this isn't on more people's radar is fucking shocking to me.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have found it if it wasn't for the dudes on the Weekly Planet podcast.
To your point, to it not being preachy, she does an incredible job letting you relate to her. A lot of it is about, this is who I am, this is how I was brought up, this is the stuff that I wanted to do, this is how things affected me, this is why my brain is like it is right now. When I knew I was in love with her, when she took out the card that she wrote for her stand-up when she was living in the woods during COVID, and she was like, you can see his two side, and she's like, it's folded, but you can open it up, and it just says, you're doing great. It's like, and that's just a little message for me. I was like, I really understand her. I get where she's coming from. She's overwhelmed by a lot of stuff, and that's where a lot of her comedy comes from. That's where a lot of her relatability comes from.
Honesty too.
Yes, it's honestly, yes. That's good.
I think the biggest comedian, like not biggest, like best, but like the most well-known comedian that I could relate it to in a weird way is Mike Birbiglia.
Yes,
with his,
I would have to say
he's moved on to this too. In his most recent
Old Man in
special,
the Pool?
where he talks a lot about having a kid. And
I can't believe how good that was.
Getting married. He comes from it for a very. He's a nervous. I mean, he's a very confident, talented person, as is Laura Davis. But it's this genuine vulnerability that he's like, I need to talk about this, and this is the only way I can talk to people.
This is how it means something to me. And it's like the best approach is to get me to love you. And she does a great job. She's so funny. She's just great at building jokes.
Yes.
She does just straight up jokes throughout the special, and all of them are hilarious. And she just builds it up to being like, I am scared of the process. She has the same sensibilities that I do, where it's like, I would love to have a kid. I am so afraid to bring one into this world.
That's a great bit where she says the only way I would be comfortable having a kid is if I made it look like an accident, because it'd be so mean to bring someone into this.
Yes. I'd have to make it look like an accident.
Fucking relatable as hell.
That is so funny. And the other thing was, like, she really drilled it in about education.
Yes.
That's something that I've been a big proponent of. Is like, when you're educated on something, you will realize how fucked over you are from everything around you. Everything relies on you being uneducated so that they can take advantage of you. And hearing her say it, it was like, this is wonderful. I'm so relatable to this woman. But her appeal is definitely just how fantastic her joke setups are. That's what brings me in. And it's just wonderful that we relate so much on a lot of stuff. But I would highly recommend her.
I mean, she's great. You should subscribe to her YouTube channel.
Wonderful.
What you were saying about the education thing, I wrote this down because it was my favorite line of the show that I snort laughed for. Is she when she's talking about how when you learn more things you get upset, she says, ignorance is bliss. Some of the happiest people I know for a fact that they're Hufflepuffs. I'm like, God damn it, you're so right. And she does have this thing. There's another guy that I author and podcaster guy, Michael Malice. He has some terrible ideas, but he does talk about one thing called there's red pill, blue pill people. He brings up something called the black pill, which is some people that just get in this hole and you can't get out of it because the more you read, the more depressed you get. He's like, that's a real problem in society, that there are some people that can't turn off the intake and it affects them too much. And I was like, that's a real thing. And that's a lot of the vibe I got from this. Not the anarchy stuff that Michael Mouse talks about, but just this sense of, I need to find a constructive way to deal with everything that's happening. And she puts it out in this hilarious, funny, hour-long special that I think it's one of the best specials I've seen this year. Like, I know at the end of the year I give like awards for that mean nothing for what I think is the best stand-up comedy special of the year. This one's in my top 5 right now.
It's kind of hard
the jump.
because Stand Up Solutions did come out this year for me.
Yes.
And that is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Did you watch his new one?
Yes. Cody's?
Cody.
Yes. Corey's. Yes.
That guy's a fucking nut job.
Dude, it's so good. That was so good.
It was. He's a fucking nut job.
That dude is the David Lynch of comedy right now, man.
Don't disagree. Don't
He's
disagree with that.
So cerebral and insane. He's coming to Raleigh.
Yeah, really?
I think so. He's coming somewhere where we could get to him, and I kind of want to get to him.
Okay. We'll figure it out. We can do that. So, Laura Davis, Laura Davis, If This Is It, is the comedy special.
If This Is It, and it's a beautiful, beautiful
check it out.
set.
She's great. I cannot recommend
this
it
is the
highly
stuff
enough.
that I love. She could tell that she just hit the grindstone with this bad boy. She was like, I got something great. She just shaved off all the fat, made everything great. And she talks so fast, so you're getting like 2 jokes in the span of what would a normal comedian would make 1 joke.
Right.
Clever.
Yeah, she has a bit right at the beginning, or a line at the beginning. She said something about her husband. She's like, and I know that news is coming as a shock to some of you. And I'm like, that's a great, like, just fucking line where everyone's just like, oh, and you get it. And that's what you're saying about working down a set. Is you've done that. You've talked about this long enough that you've been able to gauge hundreds of different audiences' reactions to it. We're like, oh, this is something, and I can bring them in here.
It felt good to watch somebody who appreciates the craft.
Yes.
She's that's great. The shit that I love to watch. Yeah. You can tell that somebody, this is their bit, it brings me right back to when you were buying CDs back in 2005, man. These people worked hard on it. It wasn't just going up and being like, here's a good jokes. Not everybody can be Mitch Hedberg.
It's not fucking crowd work with captions on it.
Yes. It was somebody who's like, I got an hour of great material that I can run for an entire year.
Yeah.
And it has to be,
tight,
archived.
Right.
People need to know that this great thing happened.
Yeah.
And,
It's great. Laura Davis, if this is it, it's on YouTube. Everyone should go watch it. All right, let's talk about Jake's recommendation for me. Slay the Spire.
Yeah, boy.
Another game
that's crazy.
Recommended.
Yes.
You've been on a video game tear at least like one a month now.
I love video games, man.
I'm well aware. I love video games too. I'm still playing Elden Ring.
I'm a big video game man.
Still don't know where the Lord of Blood is.
Who?
The Lord of Blood.
Is that in Mario Kart?
No, Elden Ring.
There's Bowser.
Yeah.
I'll call him the Lord of Blood. Yeah.
It's rated E for everyone. There's no blood. Regardless, Slay the Spire. How'd you find this? Why did you recommend this?
Slay the Spire, I've been playing it since 2019. I think it's one of the best games ever made.
I've never heard you mention it.
Well, this is the thing. Yeah. It was, there's a Twitch streamer that I really like. His name's Northern Lion. I found him, first he was playing Isaac a lot. Well, The Binding of Isaac. I don't even know if you know that game. Oh. But he started playing Slay the Spire.
Sounds like an erotic novel.
It's a wild game, man. It's a Catholic guilt game to its core. It's insane, but it's wonderful. Great game. Another all-timer. But he started playing Slay the Spire, and that's what got me into Slay the Spire, watching him play it. And this game is so complicated, and there's so many systems going on that my mind was swimming watching him work through it that I had to play it. And when I started playing it, I was like, oh, I'm an idiot, until I put in a couple a dozen hours into it, and I'm like, oh, I'm just kind of stupid. And it was a game that, you could pick up and play anytime. You can get a half hour out of it.
Yeah, you can get it on your mobile.
Yes, you can get it anywhere. It's super fun, and we're getting to this point where you're playing games like Elden Ring, which is, there's games that you have to commit to its play style and understand it to get, for lack of a better term, get good at it. And that's like the fulfilling feeling of it, is where you're mastering the systems. And Slay the Spire, that's all systems, baby. And I was like, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time that we try and see a game that is a lot of rules and very different outside of Taylor's wheelhouse to see what he would think.
Yeah, I never would have picked this up.
Yeah.
So it's a roguelike, which is what you're saying about you can just pick it up and play for like 30 minutes.
Yes. Every run's different. Every seat's different. Yeah.
But you build up, you unlock new cards, yada, yada, yada. So it's a turn-based game, but you have a deck. The deck starts out with the same couple cards, but then you get randomized cards that you can pick, and they all have different abilities. It's like getting a new Pokemon move every single time. Yeah. And
that's a good way.
So it's kind of like in that way, like Loop Hero that you recommended.
Yes.
Where there's skill involved, but there's also a bit of RNG.
Yes.
That's involved in.
You can get a run where you're super powerful at the beginning, or you get a run where you are struggling the whole time.
And you can get a card where you're like, I really like how this card plays. I really like using it. And then the next 4 runs, you won't get that fucking card.
Yes.
For me, that was a card called Demon Form.
Yeah.
And I fucking love Demon Form. And then once I started working it, so I didn't like it at first. I got it. You told me about it's on phone, and you said get it on Switch. Switch would have been a bad idea. I cannot.
Really?
It doesn't hold my focus enough.
Yeah.
For the Switch.
Okay.
And also holding it and looking at it wouldn't have been good. So I got it on the PlayStation, which was perfect for me because I
took over your entire faculty.
Yeah, I was sitting right here where I am, and I could just sit here and just like kind of look and use my controller with one hand and just like kind of look and play like more like you were playing cards.
Yes.
I talked to some people that I know that play Magic the Gathering, and I told them about this.
Yes.
And I was just like, is this Magic?
A little bit.
Just one of those things, and yeah, kind of. Magic.
It has that feeling to it.
I was talking to a new listener who's been going back, and she's been listening to some older episodes, and I haven't listened to older episodes in a while. but she brought up an episode where we talked about Kai, the hatchet-wielding hitchhiker, and you mentioned in that episode that you were playing Marvel Midnight Suns.
Yes.
Which is a turn-based game kind of like this. So is Marvel Midnight Suns like this?
Whoa, you would love that game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. New listener.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, she's cool.
Oh, your recommendation changed tonight, buddy.
No, I don't want to play another game. I want to play Elden Ring.
No.
Yeah.
It's too bad, buddy.
No, too bad. I'm not playing Marvel Midnight Suns.
We'll get you to play
But yeah, eventually. I'll check it out. But regardless,
excellent recommendation.
I just don't want to. I don't want to play two similar games 2 weeks in a row. But yeah, so this game, I think more so than Loop Hero, more so than the Scary House game that you recommended, because that game you can't really get good at.
Yeah.
Even more so than Guardians of the Galaxy, which I still enjoyed.
I also want to show my cred a little bit, to show people that I don't just play these fun little indie games where it's like, ooh, the story is so good. And no, I like the real nitty gritty, extreme detailed systems based games. Also,
I will say this came at a good time for me because I have been, like I don't stop talking about, playing Elden Ring and getting really into the systems involved in that. Like this weapon scales with arcane, this weapon does this, and if you use it like this with this Ash of War, yada yada yada. The systems involved in that game more so than just get a big anchor and swing it at the giant as fast as you can. So this game, for my kind of bellwether for grading games, is it fun to get good at this game?
Yes.
There are some games that you have to get good at, but is it fun to get good at that game? That Elden Ring was not that game for me for a long time.
Right. Okay.
I had zero interest in getting good at that game. Now I'm pretty good at that game.
Yeah.
And this game is fun to get good at. There's times in this game where you're playing cards and you have a certain amount that you can play in your turn, but the order that you play them in can fuck you up. And making a mistake in this game hurts.
Yes.
Because you're like, fuck, no, I didn't mean, nah, god damn it.
Yes.
And you
That's
mess up.
my
It's
favorite.
Like, why didn't I play this that doubles my strength before I start hitting them? Like, god damn it. And so you learn, and any
idea how many times I attack somebody and then I hit them with vulnerable?
Yeah.
I'm like, every time I do that, I'm like, I'm starting over.
Right. And I think this is the closest, and granted, the game is, the animation's good, gameplay's great. That's not the focus of the game. It's not even like
there's not even a real story that it's understandable to me.
No, it's not even like Hades where you're getting better at the mechanics.
But
like
I love
physically,
how the characters look. Yeah,
I loved Hades for the world building, and I loved Hades for the physical like buttons that you have to push and get good that way.
Yeah,
this is getting good completely mentally. It's the closest I would feel, more so than Hades. This made me feel like I was actually in a roguelike situation, because you get to a boss and you're just like, fuck, I'm not going to win. I'm not going to win. And you're like, all right, let's reboot. I know what I know now, so let's get back in there and go, like, you want to start like another run.
Little Elden Ring thing where the boss has a pattern to them.
Well, no.
They have their systems.
Not so much that. I'm talking about, like, physically, I'm just like, okay, let's start this run again.
Yes.
I don't get frustrated with it. It's because the whole point of the roguelike is you can start fresh with that information.
That's what I think is really good about a roguelite, is where you can blame the system itself,
the game,
and you could be like, okay, like, give me another shot. You know, I can get it this time with a better hand.
For some reason, this popped in my head. You remember the scene in Ted when Mark Wahlberg's trying to guess the white trash name?
I want to tell you this: I've never seen Ted.
Okay, so Mark Wahlberg's trying to guess a white trash name, and he's like naming them all. He's like Angelin, blah 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 blah. And then at one point, he's like, "Is any one of those names with a Lin afterwards?" And he's like, "Oh, I got you now, you fuck." And that's how I feel about this game. Is this game will start throwing things at me like, "Oh, I fucking see what you did, game." I was like, "All right, let's start it back over." And the runs take you about 30 minutes. I haven't beaten it.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the boss on the third section.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
That's honestly great, because those bosses are so hard.
And they're fun.
Yeah.
They're fun, and they change, and the mechanics of this game are... I've really only focused on the first class, whatever that guy is. The
Ironclad.
I fucked around with the robot and the...
I like the defect
the witch ninja.
Yes.
And I only found out about them, and there's a fourth one too that I only played once when I'm playing like a daily tower.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great, and you get to pick. You know, you can kind of lay out your map a little bit of which ones you want to go to. You're like, I'm going to go to that question mark. It might be something cool. It might be a fucking, one of those molds that keeps splitting. And I'm like, you fucking molds, you need to stop doing this. And then there's, like we were saying, cards that you get where I'm like, I don't get this card. I don't know why. It took me probably I put probably 8 hours into this game over the past week.
Nice.
Well, we're recording on a Thursday now, so instead of Monday, so I got a couple extra days in there. And there would be cards that I would keep getting, and then I figure out how to use them, and then I'm like, oh, I wish I had that card more. And then probably 4 hours into it, I was like, oh, I don't have to take a card every time. If I'm happy with my deck, I don't have to keep picking up cards.
In fact, start taking cards out of your deck.
Yeah.
You know?
So and that was a mechanic I didn't even broach until like 40.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm like, if I can get my fucking demon form going on the first round, because the enemy normally defends, I'll demon form.
Yep.
I've got my
How
demon
do I
form.
make it so that my demon form's going to come out faster?
Right. I got my demon form +1, so now it raises me up 3 strength at the start of every turn. It's like, I'm going to fucking annihilate these guys.
Yeah.
And you go in with
the
best laid plans of mice and men, and then the next run you don't get your demon form. And you're like, well, shit, now I got to readapt. Great game. The mechanics are fantastic.
That's what I like to hear, man.
It's a hard 3.
Hell yeah, dude. Look at you. True gamer coming through, man.
Fucking God gamer right here.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you, boy.
No, it's good.
That's great, dude.
It's fucking great.
I'm happy you loved it.
This was, I will say this,
a big stretch.
It shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
You're closer than you would think.
Well, I will say
this. It sucks on mobile.
Yes, I would have to agree.
You got to drag and drop the cards. It's not great.
I was
always not able. I was not able to see what I needed to.
Yes, when I recommended it to you, that's when I got it on my phone as well. I started playing it, and I was like, a lot of the
I hope he doesn't
indicators
just play it on mobile.
are covered up, and I was like, this isn't good.
It's great on PlayStation. I'll say that.
That's wonderful, man.
It's probably great on your computer too.
I would say if you ever see a game called Monster Train on sale.
Monster Train
is very good. It's also a deck builder, kind of like a tower defense as well.
Yeah.
I also really like Monster Train as well. Yeah.
But yeah, Slay the Spire is fun. It's a great game. Great
little game, boy.
Great little game.
That's what I like to hear, man.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. That was a quick 20 minutes of recommendations after 40 minutes of Deadpool and Comic-Con.
And we both threes.
Yeah, it was
when
double
it's
threes.
Threes, we really don't talk about them that much.
That was the thing. Like, I didn't mind going late about Deadpool. I was like, I don't have much to say about this thing. It's good. Same with like Laura Davis. We could have talked more about Laura Davis, but I really want people to go.
The thing that I want to do, is get people to go and see
watch it.
Yeah.
I would say if you had to go out and do one of the things about this, go subscribe to Laura Davis and watch that special.
I would say, out of everything, I would say the best thing was Laura Davis.
And if you got some downtime, play Slay the Spire.
If you don't play Slay the Spire, I think that's weird.
It's whatever.
But I don't think you're weird. I think you're great.
Is that me or the listener?
The listener.
Okay.
I think you're weird.
I think some of you are weird.
I don't know, probably.
Just based on numbers. We've got almost 8,000 subscribers out there. Some of you are weird.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Man, I really got to start paying attention to the business side of stuff, huh?
Well, once the money starts coming in, I'll make sure to find a way to keep you out of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You could tell me it's half.
Sure.
You'd be like, here's $50. Well, this is half.
It's half.
I'll be like, cha-ching.
There's a hole in the market right now. We didn't even talk about the fucking MrBeast stuff.
I don't know anything about that.
Well, here's the cool thing about, well, not cool. There's nothing cool about that situation. But there's a vacuum of, if you don't know what's going on with MrBeast, just Google MrBeast scandal or type it into YouTube, because it's kind of fun, because my algorithm is all MrBeast stuff now with all of his litany of scandals, with not only horrible things that some of his crew people allegedly did, but also like illegal lotteries and child labor and shit like that, and people getting hurt, yada, yada, yada. But there's this weird, since I've been editing and I put up a video of my own weird thing about Shorzy and the bear, that I'm happy with how it turned out, and got 10,000 views now, and stoked about that.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, man. There's a lot of commentary people that are trying to like jockey for position as I'm the channel you come to for what's going on with the MrBeast scandal, because it's such a big, I mean, it's big on the internet. It's such a big internet scandal. So there's like 4 or 5 guys that I'm like, all right, this guy's got his thing, and it's always just like a very similar thumbnail. And it's like, now it's over. And I'm just like, all right. And there's some guys that are better at it than other one, but you see everyone just trying to work. And I'm like, I'm more interested in these 4 or 5 guys that are all trying to be the MrBeast commentary guy than I am about what's going on.
Sometimes I fall into that hole as well.
Yeah. And it's nice seeing those guys like kind of jockey for position.
Yeah, there's some type of drama that I just start watching on YouTube, and then I start watching this 18-year-old guy start explaining it to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
this is fun because it's clickbaity, but everyone's trying to be like, get the scoop. Like, everyone's trying to be like the MrBeast CoffeeZilla, where it's like, I'm going to be the one that's going to break all this shit down for you with, facts and come with receipts and all that stuff.
Right.
That's fun. I mean, it's a garbage situation. And that's the other kind of thing that was funny. The MrBeast episode got deleted after the when I went back and listened to the episode where we talked about Marvel Midnight Suns, I recommended MrBeast to you, and that never got aired. So we're not on record saying anything nice about him ever. Winners for us. All right, so let's figure out. Oh God, my voice is dead now.
He's about to cry.
I'm about to cry. Let's figure out what we're going to be talking about next week.
Yeah.
Jake, what you got for me,
buddy?
Don't say Marvel Midnight Suns.
Marvel Midnight Suns, man. I'm kidding.
Good.
So how much do you know about the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef?
I would say above. Well, if average is you don't know anything, which is I would say probably 70% of people don't know anything. More than that.
Okay.
I am a rap fan.
Yeah.
I've already picked a side in this beef. I know that.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I just want you to go and listen to Kendrick Lamar's latest album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. If you want, FD Signifier has a great video about the beef between Drake and Kendrick, which I highly recommend.
What's that YouTube channel?
FD Signifier. He's got a great video. It's 3.5 hours long.
Jesus Christ.
Because I listened to Not Like Us finally. I was like, let's take a look at what the children are into these days.
That video is called I'm What the Culture Feeling.
Yes.
The full story.
Yes. And I mean, that's like the half of rec, I would say.
Yeah.
If you're interested in this stuff, but I do want you to listen to the album.
The thing I've watched about it is there's a 30-minute thing. Comedian Josh Johnson, he's a writer and pundit on the Daily Show.
Yeah.
Really funny comic. He had a YouTube video when this all kind of started 2 months ago that's just called Drake vs. Kendrick Explained to White People.
Yeah.
And I watched that, and he's very funny explaining it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I know a good bit.
Okay.
I know.
Well, Not Like Us is such a good song.
It's great.
That I went back to listen to this album, and I was like, I forgot that he's just one of the incredible artists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know who my favorite rapper of all time is.
DMX, just like me?
No, Ludacris.
Oh. Ludacris is great.
He's amazing. Christopher Ludacris Bridges.
Isn't it crazy that Hobbs and Shaw was the spinoff and not a movie
with Ludacris and Tyrese?
With Ludacris and Tyrese.
They need to make. They're kind of like the.
I haven't seen.
They're the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of the Fast and Furious.
That's such a good way to put it. Mm-hmm.
I'm smart as fuck.
I haven't seen a Fast and the Furious. I would go and watch that movie.
Me too. In a heartbeat.
Immediately. Yeah.
Okay.
Sitting on money.
So I'm going to learn about Kendrick Lamar. From FD Signifier is the YouTube thing. I'm definitely going to watch that.
Okay, good.
If you recommend
then that's now.
Yeah.
FD Signifiers.
If you recommend it, then I'm going to watch it. Yes. But I'll listen to the album too.
Yes.
I have something for you.
Yay.
Amazon show just came out today.
Yeah.
There's another. I have not seen an episode of this.
You're killing me.
Nope.
What you got?
Just came out today, and luckily, if we had recorded this on Monday, your recommendation would have been the new show Time Bandits on Apple TV Plus.
Okay,
it's not that because I don't think we'll be able to talk about that. It's good, like it's Taika Waititi and James Clement and Lisa Kudrow's in it, and it's great. And Time Bandits is fun if you like Time Bandits the movie.
I was just thinking about Lisa Kudrow.
Who isn't?
I was thinking because Phoebe is my least favorite character on Friends.
More so than Ross.
Yes, Ross is absolutely my favorite character.
He's a garbage person.
He is, but he's the funniest character. Everything funny happens because of him. But I think Lisa Kudrow is my favorite actor that came out of that. I love her.
Matthew Perry, just because I love Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip is one of my favorite TV seasons of television that's ever been put on.
Matt Perry, big time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
But I love Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Well, regardless, so Time Bandits is fun, but I feel like if you watch Time Bandits, you would just be like, "Yeah, this is fine."
Okay.
See,
now you're feeling me.
It's not bad enough to where you would come and be like hating it, and I could be like antagonistic to you about it and tell you that you only hate it because of things like this and whatever. And it's not good enough to where you're gonna like it and be like, "Holy shit, I didn't think this would be good," but it is. It's right when you expect it is. It's fine. It's cool. It's like Taika Waititi made a Time Bandits.
Thanks, buddy.
And that's what it is. So I'm recommending you something that I have not seen at all.
Okay.
New series on Amazon Prime just came out today. Animated series.
Yeah.
Batman: The Caped Crusader.
Okay.
New animated Batman.
I'm in. Yeah. I'm in.
I
saw a 20-second clip of just to hear the voice because I wanted to hear what it is. He sounds great.
Yeah. Voice cast is great. yeah, it just looks really interesting. Cool. I've seen like some little clips and I saw the trailer about
I'm in the mood for some Batman, so this is great. Good rec.
I'm always in the mood for Batman. And this, I feel like, is a good rec because it'd be one of the things that you would not sit down and watch. Like I recommended My Adventures with Superman, which was really
great rec.
This is interesting because it's on Amazon instead of Max, which is what WB owns because it's a weird licensing thing. Yeah, Batman has his own licensing rules.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how Spider-Man does.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to it.
Batman, Cape Crusader.
Cool.
All 10 episodes are out now.
Okay.
I mean, watch some. I'm probably going to watch most of them because I love the Batman. Send us an email to upyouralleypod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And tell your friends about the show. Subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't already. Jake, thanks. Thank you to Jimmy for doing all of our artwork.
Right.
Thank you to Brother Bill for doing us the music. Jake, thanks for coming over. Love you, bud.
I love you, buddy.
Bye.